Do you ever feel like pieces of you are missing? Like the person you were years ago, with all her dreams and passions just vanished into thin air? It is a quiet, nagging sense of lack, even when your life looks whole from the outside. We are often told to move on, to grow up, and leave the past behind. But what if those past selves are not dead at all? What if they are still breathing, exerting a subtle and often exhausting influence on your present? We have conditioned ourselves to discard chapters of our story to fit in, to be the good wife, the responsible mother, the tireless professional. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." But you cannot become whole if you are still leaving your younger selves in the dark. Those lost parts are actually the key to unlocking your most authentic and powerful self right now. Today, we begin a sacred homecoming. We will learn to remember the discarded chapters of your life. It is time to stop feeling fragmented. Welcome to Depth Journey, a safe sanctuary to gather your pieces and finally find your way back home to yourself. Why do we feel so fragmented, as if we are living a story with missing pages? We have spent decades building a persona that the world approves of, but at what cost? Many women in their 50s look back at old photographs and feel like they're looking at a stranger. That person with the bright eyes and unbridled dreams, where did she go? The truth is, we did not just lose her, we discarded her. We performed a kind of internal surgery, cutting away the parts of ourselves that did not fit the roles we were assigned. We abandoned the artist because she did not make enough money. We silenced the rebel to be the perfect wife. We buried the adventurer to become the reliable professional. This is what we call conditional self-rejection. We tell ourselves that growing up means leaving the best of us behind. But a recent study from 2024 reveals that this identity fragmentation increases anxiety by 62% in midlife women. You feel it in your physical body, don't you? That persistent emptiness in your chest, that silent ache that no vacation can soothe. Or perhaps a restless energy in your legs, the unlived spirit of the wanderer trying to move. The cost of this fragmentation is a profound, chronic exhaustion. You are tired because it takes a massive amount of energy to keep those doors locked, to keep your past selves from spilling into your curated present. We think we're being responsible by moving on, but Jungian wisdom tells us otherwise. The parts you have exiled do not simply go away. They become shadow material, exerting a silent and often painful pressure on your nervous system. You are living a half-life, breathing with only half your lungs. Every time you say, "That is not me anymore," you're reinforcing a wall within your own soul. You were taught that those versions of you were a burden, but what if they're actually your fuel? What if the very parts you threw away are the ones you need to finally feel whole? But these echoes, they are not just memories. They're active forces calling to you from the shadows. Can you hear them? And how do we begin to recognize the language of these discarded chapters? Have you ever found yourself, in the middle of your perfectly organized week, suddenly wanting to paint? Or perhaps an inexplicable urge to travel alone to a place you haven't thought about since you were 20? These are not random thoughts. They are echoes. Jung believed that whatever we push into the shadow does not sit quietly. It becomes a vibrant, living energy banging on the doors of your consciousness. When you discarded the carefree artist to become the reliable professional, that artist did not die. She was simply put in a glass sphere and hidden in the cracks of your granite life. The harder you ignore her, the more power she has over you from behind the scenes. Have you ever experienced a sudden burst of irritability or a wave of sadness that seems to have no source? That is the shadow of a past self leaking through the fissures of your mask. She is not trying to sabotage you. She is trying to be seen. Your body feels this tension in the shallow breath or the restless spirit that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. You are leaking psychic energy, trying to maintain the wall between who you are now and who you used to be. But the paradox of the soul is this: the parts you have pushed furthest away are often the ones that hold the most power over your future. Think of those glowing glass spheres embedded in stone. Every time you feel a sudden cow-hot for color or adventure or even a forgotten rebellion, it is a past self trying to guide you. They are showing you where your vitality is stored. If you are feeling fragmented, it is because these parts are tired of being ignored. They are calling for a reunion, waiting for you to recognize their unique frequency. When we refuse to hear these echoes, the fragmentation only deepens. The wall becomes a cage. But when we learn to listen, that wall begins to turn into a bridge. Can you hear her, the girl who danced before the weight of the world settled on her shoulders? What is she trying to show you about the woman you are capable of becoming? So, how do we begin the reunion? It starts with a beautiful word, remembering. Think about that word for a moment, remembering. It is not about living in the past. It is about bringing the members, the limbs of your soul, back to the center. Jung taught us that wholeness is the goal of human life. Integration is the only way out of the fragmentation you feel. I invite you to try a simple practice tonight, a ritual of recognition. Find a quiet space where you can be alone with your soul. Take your pen and identify 3 versions of yourself that you truly loved, versions you discarded because they were not useful anymore. Was it the student with the fierce curiosity? The woman who still found time to create art? Or the little girl who was not afraid to speak her mind? Write their names on the page. Once they are named, they are no longer ghosts. Look at each one and speak these words, silently or out loud. I see you. I acknowledge the beauty you carried. You are permitted to be here with me, right now. Do you feel the release in your chest? The energy you once used to lock them away is finally being returned to you. To make this reunion real, find a physical symbol of that self. Maybe it is an old photograph or a piece of jewelry from that time. Hold that item and say your liberation spell. Thank you for fighting so I could be here today. You do not have to leave anymore. Stay with me. By welcoming these discarded chapters, you are mending the tears in your spirit. You are telling your nervous system that it is finally safe to be your whole self. This is the alchemy of remembering. You are turning the pain of abandonment into the strength of presence. But what does this look like in the real world of 2026? How do we weave these light selves into our current reality? How do we make this real? How does the dancing girl from your youth live in the body of the woman you are today? Integration is not about quitting your life to relive the past. It is about weaving the threads of who you were into the fabric of who you are now. Think of the mountain with 1,000 open doors. Every door is a version of you. Instead of trying to keep them shut, you are inviting them to walk with you into the room. If you were once a rebellious student, you do not need to be that student again. You need her courage. You need her willingness to question the status quo when you are sitting in a difficult boardroom meeting. Think of Chloe, our dependable professional. When she integrated her old rebellious self, she found the strength to set firm boundaries with her manager. She did not become a different person. She became a more powerful, more authentic version of herself. If you were once a carefree artist, you do not need to move to a studio. You need her eye for beauty. You need her ability to see the world as a canvas when you are solving a complex problem at work or nurturing your relationships. When you stop being afraid of your past identities, you stop being afraid of your own power. You feel a sudden surge of vitality, a clarity that you haven't felt in decades. In your physical body, this feels like a deep release in your shoulders. The energy you used to waste on suppression is now available for creation. Your breath becomes deeper, reaching all the way to your belly. People around you will notice the shift. They will see a woman who is no longer fragmented, no longer playing a narrow role. They will see a woman who is authentic, multifaceted, and unshakable. In the complex world of 2026, this wholeness is your ultimate advantage. You are no longer defined by a single label like mother or employee. You are a living tapestry, rich with experience and vibrant with potential. This is your integrated self. You are finally inhabiting every corner of your own story, discarding nothing. But what happens when the pieces are finally joined together? What new horizon appears when you are no longer at war with your own history? As you embrace your past, you prepare for a profound new kind of longing. Every old chapter of your life is a foundation for the radiant kingdom you inhabit today. You are not a fragment or a collection of broken pieces. You are a priceless tapestry, and every thread, no matter how long ago it was woven, belongs to you. Integration is not a task, it is a homecoming. Reclaiming your past selves is the ultimate act of self-love for this second act of your life. Let us affirm this beautiful reunion together. Please write in the comments right now, remembering, and share one passion or one part of yourself that you have finally welcomed back home today. This sanctuary is here to support your journey toward wholeness. Once the pieces are joined, you may feel a new kind of yearning stir within you. Do not fear this ache. Join me for our next exploration, why your unmet longing is a guide to your authentic feminine. We will learn how to decode the secret language of your desires and discover the roadmap they hold. You can find our entire journey in the playlist, Shadow Work for Women, Jungian Midlife Awakening. Until next time, keep gathering your pieces, keep breathing, and stay whole.